Hello and welcome to the Instructional Story Design Roundtable. This is our August 2024 meeting. We meet twice a year. We have Cecilia from Argentina. Welcome, Cecilia. We have folks from Tennessee and Illinois and all over the United States. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have folks from Europe joining us today. I'm so glad to have you all today. And today's focus is that last part of the instructional story design process in the design phase, where you are actually designing training that will motivate and equip your learners to take action on what you're training them to do. Before I get going on that, let me share a short video from the School of Story Design. Right, a little storytelling, a little drama. This is the newest course at the School of Story Design, and it is a um, hands-on 6-week cohort, and some of you have taken it, some of you are registered for it. Oh, hello, Jeff. No, the music for that, I get a lot of my music from artlist.io, and Artlist is it's a great music resource. I think it's $200 a year. So if you're interested in like getting really great music for pretty cheap, you can download as much as you want all year long. So that's a great place to get it. Nan, that's a good question. So did I create the video with the music in mind first? Um, I have kind of sometimes I will create videos with the music not in mind. I will just create the video and then I'll add the music to it. But a lot of times for videos, especially concept videos or promotional videos, I'll let the music really inform the pace of the video, and it is an inspiration. And in this case, it was an inspiration for and I was creating the video along with the music. I had my storyboard and everything, but I wanted to match it to that music. Good questions. Good morning, Karen. Hello from Celebration, Florida. I'm so glad you joined, Karen. Thank you. All right, guys, let's get right into what we came here to do, and that is to dive into instructional story design. I put a link to that course that I just mentioned in the chat. If you're interested in going through the 6-week cohort, it's an awesome experience. I think that you will enjoy it completely, and you'll get to know other people from all over the world who are going through it with you. All right. I would like to bring back a story that we've already talked about in a former roundtable. It is a story between Colin and Natalia. Thank you, Karen. I'm going to give you a link to the webpage that contains all of the past recordings of the roundtable, so you can go and look at that one. That particular one is called The Critical Role of Conflict. And that is the August of 2023 recording. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, to the link that I just gave you in the chat, that will take you to all of the past recordings of our roundtables. Look for the critical role of conflict. Okay. Yes, Nan, you did, and I can't wait to grade it. All right. Um, let's say that a stakeholder comes to you and they have a request for training, and their request is, we need training for our managers. So your response to this, not gonna be, okay, 30 minutes of e-learning, is that what you're looking? No, right? You're gonna ask some questions. You're going to find out, what is the root problem here? What's going on with these managers? You're going to find out what the problem is. You're going to focus on solving a problem. You're going to focus on finding out what the business outcome should be, and what, if training is even the right solution that's going to fix that problem. If you determine that training is the solution, you can move to the next step. Let's say that this stakeholder says, we've got, our managers are struggling to conduct one-on-ones. And after some questioning, you find out that this is actually the case. It's not the case that, it could be the case that these managers are just swamped and have no time to schedule their one-on-ones. Or it could be that there's no space on the floor to conduct this one-on-one. But if you drill down and you find out, okay, they are actually trying to have these one-on-ones and they are actually struggling to conduct these one-on-ones, okay, there might be actually a need for training here. And when you find out that there is a need for training, one of the first things you're going to do is find out who these people are. Who are these managers? And you'll want to find out things, that are, maybe more demographic. What are their roles? What department are they in? Things like that. But you'll also want to find out, who they are as people. Thank you guys for letting me know that the link is not there. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. Because I gave it to the waiting room participants. There is the link. Thank you guys for saying something. So I want to know also, who are these managers as people? What do they value? What are their current circumstances? How are they reacting to those current circumstances? What do they fear? Why might they resist training? What do they do in their spare time? When I find out who my learning audience is, and I find out the answers to these questions, it sets me up to create and design an experience that is humanized, that recognizes that they are more than just a brain coming into this training, that they are people. And they're not just bringing their intellect, they're bringing their emotions, they're bringing everything into it. And when I know, what's going on with this group, then I can design an experience for them that will really speak to them. And I can design great characters. So one of the first places I'm going to go to design relatable characters is my audience profile. So that when these managers take this course, they will see these characters and say, yeah, I get that person. I know somebody like that. Or that person is totally me. But that they are at some level relatable to the learning audience. Okay, so create an audience profile. If you're not doing this already, it's not that hard. Just if you don't have direct access to your learning audience, find somebody who does. And answer at a minimum, just answer the questions that you see here on the screen. Next thing that you want to gather is the action list. I'm going through this rather quickly because I want to get to the training piece, but we need to kind of set some guidelines for what this training is all about. So, action list. I call it an action list. My team calls it an action list, and all of my stakeholders, I train them to call it an action list because I want everybody to remember that we are training people to do things. So when you first interview the subject matter expert, you're probably going to get answers from them about how to conduct a one-on-one meeting that look like this. Right? So it looks a little messy, looks a little bit um, thrown together, but there is an inherent problem with this action list. What is it? From your observations, what is the problem here?
I think it's not always an action. Like it's not always something you really can do. It's just something how you feel, or yeah, for example.
Couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Katerina. And Amy, if it's not actionable, it's not measurable either, right? It's not something that we can observe somebody doing. Yeah, not measurable, Karen. So observable. So you can't, in your mind, you can't even really picture somebody doing these things, right? So you're gonna have to drill down. Okay, ask your subject matter expert. Let's say that somebody is aware of how their direct report feels. What do they do to show that? Now you can drill down to those observable actions. Avoid disruptions during the meeting. Well, I can't train people on non-performance objectives, not to do things. I can train them to do things. So observable actions. And so then this could be refined. So it's not a bad place to start, but now we can further refine it and make an action list that is actionable. Conduct one-on-ones. And this primary action here for preparation could be broken down into some sub-actions. See, these are the little things. The little things that, prepare for the meeting is going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But if you can break that down into further observable actions, now you're really defining and setting them up for success. These managers want to know what you want them to do. So don't be afraid to spell it out for them. And so some other primary actions and then some sub-actions for that. And now you can read through this list and you can, in your mind, you can picture somebody actually doing these things. They're observable actions. So this is what we're going to be training people to do. We're going to be training them to conduct one-on-ones. Feel free to take a little screenshot of this if you would like to. We're going to go into breakout rooms in a moment. We're going to discuss some ways that we might train on this. But before we get into our breakout rooms and brainstorm some ideas on how we're going to train people to do one-on-ones, a lot of times when someone is given an assignment like this, hey, create a training for conducting one-on-ones, it can look like this. It's an e-learning course. Okay, already it's riveting, right? Okay, learning objectives right up at the top. I am so interested, aren't you? A definition for what is a one-on-one meeting. The purpose of, okay, that's a lot of text. and even more text. And by this time you're like, okay, did somebody like use AI to create, did they just put this into Chat GPT and then copy and paste it into the screen? The answer to that would be yes. I created this in 10 minutes. Karen is falling asleep. Oh, an exciting click and reveal. Oh, and a scenario. Nice. With some multiple choice. With really great plausible answers. Let's try C. Incorrect. Try it again. All right. How about this one? Yeah, it's got to be the right one since it's so detailed and long and different than all the other options, right? Ooh, an assessment, drag and drop the steps for conducting a one-on-one in the correct order. I know you've never seen this before, but this is totally going to prepare you to conduct a one-on-one. If you can get these in the right order, you will be ace. Okay, congratulations, you passed. Click the X in the top right-hand corner of the screen to receive credit for this awesome course. Now you're ready. Now you're ready to go and conduct that one-on-one. All right, your response. What is your response to that course so far?
It's just like what we did in our organization. All our courses look like this: objective, definition, go into more detail, scenario with ABCD. Congratulations, you passed. And the learner check the box. But it's easy. It's the easiest way to decide a course. I think that's why you go that route and you don't have much time to decide a course. That's the challenge that we have.
Yeah. Thank you, Nan, for your honesty. I have not been stalking your company and looking at your training, so you're not alone. We've got other people who are chiming in on the chat. Veronica, it looks like something I created before. You guys are very, very honest. Unfortunately, Karen, it is typical. Unengaging is typical, right? The click through and check it off list, like Amy says, is typical. The boring, like John says. Jeff, thank you for your honesty. Samaya lacked interactivity. Yeah. Ick, what a waste of time. They know management doesn't care enough to actually train them only to check a box. It will not lead to retention and, more importantly, application. Yeah. All very viable and accurate statements. It's what you get when stakeholders require speed over quality. And that's, Jeff, where we step in. We set our designer role aside for a moment and we become consultants and we consult the business. I don't want to say consult the business. We are part of the business. We consult the stakeholder and tell them up front, like this is the problem that we need to solve, and this is the way we can affect performance. If you're not interested in performance, go talk to marketing. But we train people to do things differently than they're doing them now. So, okay, wonderful. I love all those comments. You're spot on. I mean, that is unfortunately the vast majority of the training that we see out there. That's not going to be you, not anymore. Let me share a story with you. So when we talk about story, I'm going to share one more thing with you before we go, two more things with you before we go into our breakouts. So often when I am asked, or told, hey, we create stories for training, often the story will look very similar to this one. And I'd like for you to share your reaction to it afterward. Hi, Laura. I'm glad you made it in. I don't know why I couldn't let you in before, but I'm glad you made it.
Hi, Rance.
Great to see you. Okay. All right, so here is a story that I will often see what people will say, I have stories in my training. Hi, Natalia, come on in.
Thanks, Colin.
How's your week going so far?
Pretty good. I just had a difficult call, so I'm a bit flustered.
Would you like to talk about it?
It wasn't terrible, but yeah, the customer was really mad that they didn't get refunded. And I get it. It's just not fun to get shouted at.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Were you able to help them?
Yes, Brooke helped me out. The issue is resolved.
But I'm guessing they didn't thank you?
How did you know?
I've been there. Listen, if now is not a good time, we can reschedule this check-in for later.
No, I'm good now. We can talk. Thanks for listening.
No problem. We've got some great things to talk about your performance. But before we jump into that, I sent you some questions a couple of weeks ago to consider during this one-on-one. Have you had a chance to think about those?
Yes, thank you for the heads up. I always get really nervous with check-ins.
Natalia, there aren't going to be any surprises during this conversation. You and I have had touch points ever since you were hired 5 months ago. We've talked about your strengths and your areas where you can grow.
I appreciate that. I had time to think through your questions, and I do have some ideas about how I might be able to grow here.
Great. I'd love to hear those ideas.
Well, I know I ask for help a lot, and I'd like to work on that. Be a little more resourceful.
Okay. I'd love your reaction. Don't be afraid that you're going to say the wrong thing. So yeah, he was extremely empathetic. Thank you, Veronica.
It seemed
Alright.
long to me, like I was watching a show rather than a training.
That's kind of nice. I'm watching a show.
It's better than what we have.
It sets the tone for what's to come, puts the learner in a good focused space. Everything was maybe too correct. Badoom! Katarina, that is so right. I like the context setting, but I think the time could be better used to meet objectives. Cat, okay, good. Yep. So this story, like, there's nowhere to go with this story. The story is done. It has showed up. It has squeaky clean. There is nothing wrong. Nothing is happening. There's no conflict, right? We just watched this ideal, pristine story go by, and we're gonna forget it because there's no friction. There's no conflict. Thank you, Karen. So remember the action list that hopefully you took a screenshot of. The action list for conducting one-on-ones. You're gonna draw from your audience profile to create relatable characters, and you're gonna draw from that, and you're gonna put those relatable characters into strong conflict with that action list. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Amazon. Lack of conflict equals lack of engagement. Yes. So there's really nothing we can do with this story, right? Now, it is better probably than the big, knowledge dump that we saw before. Like, here's because it's an example. Here's a way that you can conduct your one-on-one. It's not horrible. you just can't really train with it. So that's right, Angelica. It's fun to watch, but you know, there's not a whole lot you can do with this story. So I'd like to show you a version of this story, and we talk a lot about this, and we use this same story 2 roundtables ago. And so when you watch the recording for that, we'll dive into why this story does not work. But I'm going to show you a different version of this story that puts a relatable character into strong conflict with the action list. And I want you to notice how you feel afterwards compared to how you felt after this story. All right. Okay, so this is a second version of this course.
Hi, Natalia. Come on in. What's up?
I'm here for my one-on-one.
Sorry, yeah. I've been working on a report for management and sorry, time just slipped by so quickly.
Should I come back another time?
No, we can do it now. Just let me get your file. There it is. Okay, how's it going?
Well, I'm a bit flustered after the call I just took. They were pretty mad.
Yeah, sometimes there's just no calming them down. You know, you can escalate those calls if you need to.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you've made some progress over the last 5 months. Great work. One thing you need to work on is using the resources online more proactively.
I know. I've been working on that.
I know it's difficult to put yourself out there and walk on your own, but all of our customer advocates have to face their fears, so to speak, and trust their training.
Yes, I understand. It's not fear. I'm still getting the resources under my belt for all of the systems we operate.
I'm sorry, Natalia. Hold on just a sec. It's just a quick ping from my manager. Yes, I'll have the report for you in an hour. Sheesh, you'd think the building was on fire with those guys. What were you saying now? You understand? That's good, that's good. Let's review your production numbers. Last month was a lot better. That's great. You're really improving, Natalia. If you can get call times down a few more minutes, you'll be rocking it.
Okay, already you're responding. Okay, so yeah, wow, big no, he's not repaired. Amazon, this is more realistic. Yeah, unfortunately, Cecilia interruptions. He is distracted. Karen, he is not picking up on her body language. Yeah. Yanka, true history. I'm sorry. Amy, good example of what many team members see and experience. Definitely felt empathy for the employee. A mix of both positive and negative would make a better story in Kat's opinion. John, too caught up with himself. Angelica, this one evokes emotion, making it more engaging, sets the scene for learning. Nice, Angelica. David, I like that the video focused on her unhappy face at one point. Okay, good. So you're giving me a mix here of your response to this video, as well as some critical thinking. Like you're picking out specific behaviors of the manager that are not in alignment with the action list. How about that? That's interesting. What I would like to do before, I'd like to give you about 15 minutes to discuss this story together in breakout groups. And what I'd like you to do is, as a group, you can introduce yourselves, like literally 20 seconds, okay? 20 seconds apiece. Do not spend the entire time on introductions. Get to the introductions, yes. And then I would like for you to just spend some time talking about what activities would you create now to train your learning audience. You have this story, it's a great story for training. What are you going to follow that story with? Okay, so spend some time discussing that. Develop at least one activity together, maybe two, and then we'll come back into the main room and you can share your ideas with us and we'll talk about that. All right. I'll be jumping around to the different breakout groups just to listen in. We'll have 15 minutes, so at quarter till the hour, we will come back in the main room and you can share your discoveries. Do you have any questions? So Jeff says, are we looking for e-learning or live interactions? That's a great question. I don't really care. I don't really care. So if your group wants to focus on e-learning, cool. If you want to focus on a facilitated session, that's okay too. Either one. All right, so there are, how many? There are 18 of us. Do 5. I'll do 5 breakout groups. Okay, I will see you in 15 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed your discussions with one another. I noticed I loved what I was hearing. Plus, there was some commiserating going on with some of you. That's great. You know, we need that sometimes. I wanted to, Karen, thank you for your comment here. I like the idea of reflection first, then followed by a group debrief. That way everyone has time to think before being asked to share. I use reflection questions all the time in e-learning. Sometimes you just have to trust that adults want to learn. But yes, they could just put in gibberish. Yes, I agree. So we're talking about these kind of open form text fields where you're asking a question and then learners type something in. I'm going to give you a link to Karen. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to give a link to your website. Karen is a fellow storyteller and really, I've attended one of her sessions at the International Conference at ATD, and she has a cool session on data storytelling. So check her website out. I'm so glad that she's here today. You're welcome. All right, so I'd like to hear some of your ideas. Why don't we, I don't know if you remembered your group number, but why don't we start with, let's see, Michael Hartman's group. If you were in Michael Hartman's group, why don't you share one of your ideas for an activity that you came up with?
I can share it.
Great.
The activity that we were talking about the most was having like a scenario after the video where you are, for an e-learning, where you are picking out like the things that went wrong. And we decided that it might be pretty beneficial to do this as like using like a Microsoft whiteboard or something like that, where you are able to kind of have a conversation with other people, even though if it's not real time, other people that have taken the same training, and you're kind of putting your comments on there and seeing what your colleagues have also called out, and just making it kind of like a conversation between other people who are taking the course so that you're able to see other people's experiences and just talk about that. So just trying to replicate how that would go during like a live training.
Yeah, very nice. Cool. So giving people opportunities to think about the story and think about the things that maybe were some missteps on the manager's part, and then sharing those with others and learning from others too. So nice. Danielle, were you in Michael's group?
No,
So-
I was with Katerina and Karen and Valerie.
Okay, because somebody from your group then share an activity idea that really rose to the top for you.
Sure, I can share. about reflection, where whether it was like an open-ended text box question with guided response, or like if you really had time and wanted to dig deep, a branching scenario of sorts where, what should he do next, or what should the employee do next? But kind of that reflection and putting yourself in the manager's place and the employee's place, and how did this behavior make you feel? What should be done differently? What was maybe a good choice, a wrong choice? And leaving it kind of open-ended for either. We also talked about doing a group discussion board or a Padlet or a group whiteboard where people could, if it was an individual e-learning, post their responses so everybody could glean from, oh, I never thought of that, or that's a good idea, to make it feel collaborative, even if you're taking it on your own at your desk, just as an e-learning course.
Nice. I have played around with that as well. Padlet, I've played around with that one in particular, and use it in the instructional story design experience as part of the course. And boy, I'm so glad I did, because now I keep in touch with how people are feeling as they're going through the 6-week experience by their comments in the
Oh, that's
Padlet.
great.
Plus, they can read one another's Padlets, and it gives me a place to respond to them as well. So I love that. Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Danielle. David King, were you in one of those two groups?
No, I was in a different group.
Okay,
Jonathan
would
Tan.
you or somebody from yours mind sharing?
Yeah, I'll share. So we kind of approached it from the e-learning solo perspective, because we felt that was kind of the most challenging position for us. So we kind of had the idea similarly of showing sort of the incorrect behavioral video first, and then allowing a free response, kind of with the thought that you mentioned earlier. We're in adult learning. We want them to be able to get as much as they can out of it, so they need to invest. So having them sort of take notes, but we kind of decided to look at it from different perspectives. So we thought we would open with the free response being from the perspective of the customer advocate. With questions, a few questions, maybe just two, but something like, how do you think this meeting made her feel? What was her value? Or what do you think that she wanted to gain from the meeting?
Yeah.
And then move along to the manager's perspective of, how do you think he showed value to his report? What do you think he should have done differently? And then possibly showing the correct video after. So kind of allowing them to reflect on both positions and perspectives. Then after the video, giving them some notes of things that, were, that should happen during the one-on-ones.
Nice. That's wonderful, David. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that outline of reflecting. So there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. Then, working into some solving questions where there are some right or wrongs. And then if you are going to show a video where everything goes smoothly, the end would be the place to do that. So save it. Don't show it at the beginning. Show it at the end. Bye, Yanka. Oh, I'm so glad. So let me share with you. I know I'm skipping a group, and I'm sorry for doing that, but we've only got 4 minutes left. So I would like to share with you. You guys have hit everything. I mean, I'm so impressed. I'm really so impressed that you have thought through this. So I'm going to show you some sample screens of how I might produce this the story design way. And so very much reflecting what many of you have said here. This happens to be a multiple choice. Some of you have mentioned, well, this could be a free form. Absolutely, it could be. Then you could use that as a variable and put it in the next screen and, comment, assuming that they are putting, they did watch the story and are responding honestly. Why do you think she feels this way? That's another great reflection question. This one could or could not have, these could all be correct. In this case, I'm really training for how well they're listening, how well they're watching body language, and so forth. So here, you notice it's not just I liked in one of the breakouts, one of you were talking about how you like to customize your feedback. That is so, so important. Try again is not feedback. That is not feedback. All right. That's a game. So you want to give them reasons why their choice is correct or incorrect. Okay, again, so what might Colin do? How might Colin listen and respond? So check out this multiple choice. They're all the same length. They're all a question, and they all start with the same phrase. So it's not like, at a glance, I can guess it's C, it is something that you have to stop, read through, think about before answering. And here, feedback. Notice that this is where the training happens. So what did I just do here? And so now that we have solved, we have brought resolution to this little part of the conversation now. And you'll notice a few things. The story continues into the training. It doesn't go away. There are plausible options. And there's feedback. And the story continues on in the feedback as well. We can see Colin. I could even put a picture of Colin and Natalia. One of you suggested this in the breakouts. Show Natalia's reaction to this. So I told a story with relatable characters and strong conflict. I asked a reflect question. How do you think she feels? Right? Not a right or wrong. Just think back to the story for a moment. Solve question. How might Colin listen and respond? And then feedback. Story, reflect, solve, feedback. That's my go-to. That's how I train people with stories. I ask them to reflect, solve, and then I give them feedback on their answers. And part of the solving can also be practice. Give them practice doing it. Give them practice conducting a one-on-one. And so that might involve, if it was e-learning, some more complicated programming, or not. It could be simple multiple choice. Here's Natalia. She said something. Now you need to respond to her. How are you going to respond? That's one way to give practice. So now you have, the knowledge dump. And I know that I said I created that in 10 minutes, but it's, as you have noted, ineffective. No problem is going to be solved by the data dump. Maybe 1 or 2 people will read that stuff and actually apply it. The one on the right, though training will not solve the entire problem, training can have an impact on this problem. And the one on the right is going to have the most impact. It doesn't take, though, forever to build this. I wouldn't have had to make a video. I could have told the story with text and pictures, or just text. You can produce the story very simply, but when you follow that story, reflect, solve, feedback model, you're already going into it knowing how you're going to be training with this. So it eliminates some of that heavy lifting of like, how am I going to structure this? The QR code there is for, the courses. We have the instructional story design experience. We offer training on Beyond, how to use Beyond. That's coming up actually tomorrow. We have a workshop starting tomorrow. Humanized virtual training. I train facilitators. So if you have a group of facilitators in your, I train people how to conduct virtual or live facilitation in the way that I do it here at the school. There's one coming up in September as well. And then the storytelling advantage is for leaders, L&D leaders who are, and some of them are instructional designers as well, and who are just committed to humanizing the whole experience. We meet every other Thursday. And you can, I'll show you how to join that. And we're actually meeting this Thursday. And then many of you have read the book already. There's a link, a QR code to the book. At that QR code on that webpage, there's also a 30-minute movie that gives you, it's a animated movie, partly animated, partly me. It's really fun. If you haven't seen it before, check out that video. It's at the top of the book page. And grab some popcorn. It's really fun. But it'll give you a foundational knowledge of instructional story design. All right. Do you guys have anything that you want to, any observations, anything that, yes, that's right, Karen. Great feedback is content in disguise. It's much better than content. Cool. Well, I hope to see you at a future School of Story Design event or workshop. I'm so thrilled that you joined me today. I hope that you have gained something from this session on how to train with stories. You guys have been awesome. Thank you for your active participation. I will send you an email letting you know when the recording is available. And have a great rest of your day. Oh, you can register for the next one. Let me put that link in. Okay. So here's a link to February's Roundtable. I would love for you to join that one as well. All right, guys, bye. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you.